So everybody here is ET,
Yes.
is that correct?
I think, do we all have Jack
Well-
too also?
Yeah, that's my other question,
I
Jack,
do.
too?
I
Yeah.
have the Jack.
I am.
Yeah. I think
Actually,
we
I'm
all-
calling, well, I'm for my son. My son has
Right.
ET with the CALR mutation.
Right.
Yep.
That's right. I'm sorry, Meredith. I forgot.
No, that's okay. No problem. It's hard to keep us all straight. And I appreciate you bringing
yeah.
us together.
Well, even just the last few months, I've had so many phone calls coming in from ET patients. Like, you know, when the story first came out on the MPN network, I definitely got a few phone calls, but it was, 2 or 3 of them a month. But just these last few weeks, it's been all kinds of people reaching out. So I'm not sure if they've like pushed my story up to the top of the page or
Abre a
something.
porta, Lucas. Abre lá a porta.
What's that?
Força. Abre. Estamos sem internet.
I'm sorry. I'm having a hard time hearing.
Yeah, you can tell her internet.
Yeah, it's a little tough. I mean,
It's
she's,
not working.
yeah. Maybe she sign out and sign back in, it'll work. But
So,
yeah.
Has anybody here like had to go on medicine yet? Or is everybody like, has your son Meredith, Mandy, like what has everyone's numbers been out of curiosity? I'm just,
Yeah.
I was diagnosed probably 5 years ago at this point. I'm 49. And I was excited when I saw Jessica on the MPN, and I just reached out to you, Jessica, like 3 weeks ago, maybe?
Yeah,
I mean,
we
not
just
recent,
talked most
but I just
recently.
saw her stuff, and which got me excited because I'm starting to teeter in the 700 to 800s.
Yeah,
And
me
I'm doing
too.
everything I can do to avoid. Now, my doctor's looking at possibly a negrolide, not hydria, and I don't know if any of you have negrolide.
Yeah. My son, my son's 20.
Okay.
He was diagnosed when he was 14. Like I said, CALR, the calreticulin mutation. I was telling Jessica, they started him at 14 on a nagrolide, but I didn't feel good about it, to be honest, at his age.
Yeah.
So we ended up taking him to Mayo Clinic in Minnesota, and the specialist there, who is very well versed in ET and MPNs, said, take him off the anagrelide. It's too much for him right now. And just treat him, with over-the-counter stuff like Advil for his migraines or things like that.
Right.
So since then, but again, he's 20, so it's different in age. We've basically just been treating the symptoms with over-the-counter. And that's where most recently I reached out to Jessica about, okay, can we maybe try, CBD and all that. So, and his numbers have always been around 1,000, even 1,100, in that range, from 1,000 to 1,100. So they're pretty high, which means he can't take the aspirin either, because when you get that high, you have acquired von Willebrand's, which actually can cause bleeding, which is ironic, right? Because you think the platelets are so high, but it's weird. It works counterintuitive.
I don't understand. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if you don't mind me asking, Meredith, what were the side effects that he was getting?
Well, he was only on the anagrelide for about, maybe 4 to 6 months. Maybe it was 6 months. It just wasn't really helping. He was still getting the headaches at that time.
Right.
And he didn't feel any better. And the numbers weren't really coming down that much for him. So it was like, why are we taking this, this drug and it's a pretty heavy hitter when nothing seemed to be helping. And so his hematologist at the time that was by us in Illinois, he's not an MPN person. So that guy just freaked out about the numbers, right? He's like, oh my God, it's in the thousands. It's like 1,100. Whereas when we went to Mayo Clinic, Dr. Teferi there, who is a specialist, he's world renowned for ET and MPN, said, don't worry so much about the numbers. Calm down. How do you feel? How are you feeling?
Yeah.
And actually, at sometimes my son was feeling fine. So he's like, all right, go with that. Don't only rely on the numbers. So he calmed us down a little bit.
That actually helps calm me down.
That's me too.
Yeah, totally. This guy's like a global specialist, and he's just like, don't get caught up in the numbers. And he goes, I understand why your hematologist did, because he doesn't know MPNs. He doesn't know ET.
Right.
So yeah, that was a big help. And the other thing I mentioned to Jessica, which was interesting, you know, my son was only 14 at the time, but this specialist at Mayo Clinic kind of winked at us, my husband and I, and said, you know, he's a teen, maybe in a few years he tries a little marijuana. And we're like, what the hell? But he was kind of hinting like, that might help.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but he obviously couldn't say it, you know.
Oh, he said that perfectly. Hey, Meredith, when you said, what's the doctor's name and where's the Mayo Clinic out of curiosity?
Yes. So we went to Minnesota, Minneapolis, Minnesota.
You know what? We have a chat. If you want, you can type
Oh,
it
yeah.
in the chat for everybody.
Oh,
yeah, let me just do that. Yep. I'll do that
if you don't mind. Because I was telling Jessica, and I'd have to get his name again. There's a guy in Arizona, a doctor in Arizona that has been studying this as well, that I keep not debating, like getting a hold of. You know, I just haven't jumped to that yet because my doctor here is pretty well versed. Like, she's the type that's like, okay, once you hit 800s, we do need to get you on medicine. But I'm just like, but do I have to be on medicine at 800s with everyone I'm talking to?
And I obviously am not a medical professional, so my opinion means really nothing here. But my doctor is very much like the one that looks like Meredith was talking about. He will ask me like, how do you feel?
Right.
And if I had not been having regular blood work for something else, this would never have been caught, because the doctor was like, you know, you're going to have fatigue and you're going to have body pains and headaches. I'm like, but I'm also over 40. I don't take care of myself. I have 2 small kids and I run a business. I'm going to have those things regardless. Like, so he always just says, you know, how do you feel? And so he's told me, because I've told him I don't want any treatment. I don't want to treat it with pharmaceuticals right now. Like, I don't.
What I keep saying, Mandy.
And so
I'm like, no.
Yeah, he said, until you tell me that you feel different or there's something that we need to be addressing, then I'm not going to make you. And I can't take the low dose aspirin because of another surgery that I had several years ago. So I can't do that either. And so he's just told me, and my numbers are in the 700-800s. They kind of go back and forth, and
that's me right now, Mandy, 700-800s.
And so I just,
me too.
I don't see a reason to treat at this point for me, because it's not affecting my daily life.
Another great doctor is Dr. I'm just writing these down, not that I don't love mine, but yeah, because I just want to throw like some of the like, I knock on wood, I haven't gotten headaches, I haven't gotten any of that kind of stuff. I have been on the baby aspirin for 5 years. I had to go off of it because I had to get a breast biopsy. What happened is my feet were on fire. So doctor called I can't remember. I can find it and send it to you ladies. Urethra something, and it has to do with the high platelets. And when you go off the aspirin, that can occur. And every now and then I'll get tingling, but once I started this CBD, that's been backing off. So that's good. And I got vertigo, and I read something that you can get vertigo with this high platelet thing. Has anyone read that, or am I? No,
I haven't read that, but I have had vertigo. I've had it multiple times, and I just, you know, I at first, you know, they said it was an inner ear infection, and that was years before I was diagnosed.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, you know, since then, I think when I started to know something was really wrong is I was having the aura migraines and I was having dizzy spells, and my migraines were becoming much more frequent than they had ever been in the past. So, you know, that's when I kind of knew something was up, you know.
Well, I again, Mandy and Meredith, I also want to thank you, because you guys have just decompressed me a little bit, which I appreciate. It's like, again,
Good.
I'm getting on an airplane Monday for work, and I'm going to be in North Carolina till March. You know, I email my doctor, and she's like, you should be fine. We'll push your blood test. Cause I'm like you, Mandy, I go every like 3 to 4 months for blood tests.
Yeah.
And she goes, don't worry, it'll be fine till March, But my last one, my numbers, I think, were at like 780. So I do get you get that odd, I just get agita. I can't explain it.
Of course, you get anxious, but there's that whole mind body connection too, right? Where,
Absolutely.
that makes a big influence on your body and what you're thinking and your thoughts about it. And it's not easy. But I know with my son who's 20, we go through that discussions about, back to what Dr. Teferi and Mayo Clinic says, how you're feeling. And also, what kind of thoughts are you thinking as well? I mean, that
Right.
does have an effect on your body. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
When I passed my kidney stones, my platelets went over 1,000,000 and they didn't want to let me out of the ER. And I knew it was just because I was in pain. And
Yeah.
every time that I've gone and I've had anxieties or just issues going on, my platelets are always higher than when they're low or than whenever I'm calm. As a matter of fact, I mean, I was just telling everybody, some of you just joined, so you didn't hear, but my most recent platelet counts were in the 800s. And I've been in the 6s for a couple years now. And I equate it to two different things, actually. One of them is the fact that I stopped taking my high CBD medicine and I'm just taking high THC because I'm using the medicine that I made myself at home instead of what I can buy in a dispensary, which now that I saw my numbers do that, obviously I'm going to go spend the money and go back to the dispensary and get the high CBD. But I think the other problem was the fact that I went into sort of a funk like 2 weeks ago, right before my blood work, because my youngest son moved out. And I had a really hard time with it, like a really hard time with it. I cried for like almost the whole week. And it was just I mean, I've been a mom since I was 18. I'm the oldest of 6 kids. Like I've just always had someone to take care of. And to just be sitting here in this empty house with me and the dog was like, and I think that had a little bit to do with what was going on. I didn't take my herbs all week. I just was in a funk. And I think that when you're, like you said, the mind body connection, when you're just not in alignment and you're not feeling, nice and calm and connected, it definitely takes a toll physically on your body. So I think that's a huge part of it.
And Jessica, you said too, and I wanted to throw back to Mandy and Meredith with this as well. But Jessica, you are also saying that with the JAK2, the turmeric curcumin can also help with that.
Yeah, there's a PubMed study that shows that the curcumin can actually kill the JAK2 mutation, which is why I started taking more of it.
And about
How much do you take a day?
Yeah.
About 4,000 milligrams.
4,000?
Yeah. Now that was another factor. So I guess there's 3 things. I also ran out of my turmeric curcumin that I buy from Nature's Sunshine. And I started taking this kind of off brand just to fill it in. So that could have also factored in, to what was going on with me too. I don't know.
And
I just know that the biggest difference in my platelet counts have occurred 2 different times. Once when I started with the higher CBD versus THC. And then again, whenever I started taking the higher doses of turmeric, both those times when I made those changes, my platelets dropped almost 200 points each time.
Right.
So that I know made a big significant difference for me, as well as the mood and, all that, so.
and maybe you have to forgive my ignorance here, because I will say that I feel like when I get into groups or chats like this, sometimes I always feel like an imposter, because I really would not know that I had this if I was not having regular blood work done. Like I really would never have known.
No,
Yeah, I mean, if it wasn't for the headaches,
that's me though, Mandy.
But not even
My gyno caught it.
Yeah. And so I'm curious, like you say that it kills the JAK2 mutation. I was under the impression that once that mutation's happened, like that's it, you're just done. Like the gene is mutated now, and we can't do
that
anything about
mutation
that,
is in your DNA, but
right.
It continues to replicate and replicate and replicate. And that JAK2 is what stops your body from turning off the platelet production. So, so I think if you can kill those mutated cells, then you have a better chance of producing less platelets. I mean, that's just.
Okay. And see, I didn't know, and that's why I feel like I'm an imposter, because I'm not as educated as I probably should be on my very own.
I'm not a doctor or a scientist, and I'm over here reading studies that, I have to look words up to fully understand what I'm reading, so, I mean, by no means am I a medical expert. I just know that there was another MPN patient who is a naturopathic doctor from Pennsylvania, and she sent me that study after having a conversation with her like I've had with each of you. And once I figured that out, I was like, well, shoot, I mean, I'm taking turmeric, but I was only taking like 2,000 milligrams a day in the morning. So I started doubling it. I just started taking it in the morning and at night. And then also in the morning, I make a chai, and I put turmeric powder in my chai when I make that in the morning. So I do try to include it in my diet as well. Like if I go to a smoothie stand and get a juice, I'll make sure that I get something with turmeric in it always. Like it's just one of the things I always go for. Just because I know that there's potential that it can help me. And, you know, I feel like the more I fill my body with things that can potentially help, you know, with the situation, you know, for sure I want to do that. Now, when it comes to the CBD portion of this, the easiest way, without getting into a bunch of crazy science and, you know, showing you guys all kinds of graphics, to describe what it's doing to help with the JAK2, or not just the JAK2, with the platelet production, I think has to do with the fact that CBD, when you've had it in your system over a long period of time, helps your body's homeostasis to be more balanced. Well, homeostasis is our body's ability to heal itself.
Right.
You know, so if we give our bodies that high dose of CBD, then it has the ability to fight this off on its own without us, you know, adding any chemical interventions like the chemo drugs or whatever. So I don't know.
So Jacqueline, if you just told your doctor, no, I don't want to go on it, like then what?
Well, she already knows. This is what I do love about my doctor. She knows that I don't. And it was like, even with the last time with 700 at night, she's like, we're all right. You know, let's keep going. I'll see what happens once I get, knock on wood, doing all this stuff might help. Do you know what I mean? A little bit. For her, she's like, as long as we're in the 700s. But that's where I'm grateful to hear you ladies saying, okay, I've been over 800 and I'm still not taking it.
Yeah.
I will tell her that.
My current hemo says as long as I can keep it under 800, she'll let me keep doing what I'm doing. Obviously, you know, she can only recommend me to go on the chemo drug. I mean, at the end of the day, it's my choice. It's my body. Right. So, so I'm, you know, I will choose not to, unless of course I'm consistently over 1 million, then I would definitely consider it. But at this point, I'm not going to try to consider it unless I have to, because as long as we can maintain it, you know, the way that we're doing it now, there's no reason, I don't think, to go on it, you know.
No,
oh, go ahead.
just everything, trying to avoid it.
I wish we could hear Inez, because she has a wonderful naturopathic doctor that actually did a conference call with us, and she's been trying some other alternative medicines as well. And I'd love for you to be able to share with us what you've been doing. I don't know if we've got audio for you though.
Hey.
Yes, you.
Yes. Well, here in Portugal, it's not easy because it's not legal to take CBD. So we don't, you cannot afford, you cannot buy it. So it's not legal. We don't have a lot of treatments. It's chemo, basically. Well, now I'm not so good. Because I made 3 types of treatments in EPO. It's the biggest hospital in Portugal for these things, and no treatment. It was really a bad idea because I had a lot of secondary effects. So my skin was burned. I had a big inflammation on my face. It was all the right side. It was bigger, and a lot of pain. Even today, I cannot brush my teeth because it's a lot of pain with these treatments. I start at the same time, well, because I have when I'm not in treatment, I suffer a lot with fatigue, extreme, a lot of pain for all of the body. In the morning, it feels like it's the end of the week and It's really hard. So I start this treatment because it's really hard to find another one that is legal. But I found a doctor, a Chinese one, that made some with different kind of well, I can send the plants, and she made this for me. But it's really hard. I cannot say, because it was at the same time that I was made chemo. So now at this time is very difficult for me because I'm not in a good shape. I'm really with pain. I stopped the chemo, the last one, because the doctor said she cannot take more.
Here's Clark.
I have one more just to start, but I don't want to start another treatment because it was a really bad experience with the past three. So at this time, I'm a little bit, I don't know what to say or what to do, because I'm really in a bad shape. I'm suffering a lot. So it's really hard. Even my glasses just make me pain here.
Oh,
I'm really, they said that it was an inflammation of the nerve of the face that came from the head here and mouth and tooth. So it was really a nightmare. At this time, I'm not taking any medicine now, and I'm still suffering with the secondary effects of the chemo.
Are you taking any aspirin or no?
Yes.
Is that
the aspirin,
right?
I didn't stop. The aspirin, the baby, I didn't stop. But they stopped everything because it was really bad. You can imagine my face was red at this and biggest on the right side, and it was really hard.
Yeah.
So at this point, I'm waiting because of COVID. They are sending by email, and I took blood. I have the results. I have how do you say anemia? It's the iron that it's low on the blood. You know, iron, ferro, iron. It was in the blood. It's really anemic. Okay, I'm anemic.
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 Yes.
Oh, the iron.
Yes.
Okay, so
Iron
you're
was
low
low.
in iron.
So I have this too. So it's really low too.
That's interesting that you say that, Inez, because with my last test 2 times ago, all of a sudden my iron was low.
Yeah.
So I started taking iron.
There is really, this is my husband. He studied a lot of this. He was the best guy to explain this, because what make the platelets go higher, it's the same that make the iron go higher. So if
Right.
they give you food to compensate
Spinach.
iron,
Yeah.
the platelets will grow too. So it's very difficult to find food that made good to one thing and not the other thing, because platelets they grow with, I think it's kappa, food with kappa.
Vitamin K, yes.
Yeah.
Vitamin K, yeah. All the dark leafy greens, with which I'm vegan, so it's very difficult.
Yes, it's really hard to.
Yeah. But beets, I don't know if beets have a lot of vitamin K, which I need to look up because they're very high in iron. So I put them in my smoothies because MCHC, I think, is the iron on the blood work, and mine's like just at the low end. It's not below 32. So I've been trying to, but spinach I include a little bit of because that's very high in iron too. So beets and spinach, figs have some, black mission figs. I try to eat those. So I just kind of try to do it dietary wise too. But yeah, 3 beets a week. Like I had a holistic doctor that told me I should eat 3 medium-sized beets a week. But I want to look up the vitamin K because I mean they're red, they're not green, so maybe it's not as high as spinach because spinach and kale are so concentrated. You know, so and I have a hard time, and that's something that I've done too, is because being vegetarian, broccoli and spinach were like a staple for me. So now I'm trying to eat more like butternut squash, zucchini, mushrooms, like things that aren't so green.
Right.
Salicides, which is the same component as the aspirin. So some of the vegetables have salicide. So if you Google like salicide vegetables, you'll get like zucchini, yellow squash, mushrooms, of course, onions, things like that. So I'm trying to incorporate more of those and not every day eating greens. You know, I used to juice like kale, spinach, you know, all these green juices and drink like a giant thing of juice. And the vitamin K level on that was just,
Yeah,
yeah.
not good.
so I'm trying to balance it a little more, but sometimes it's tough, like giving up your greens, you know, because I like it. It gives you,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, I've
So-
heard some really good success stories for people with different cancers juicing cannabis. And it's funny because when I first had the opportunity to grow it, that was one of the things I kept telling everybody, oh, I can't wait to grow so I can juice it. And I never juiced any of it. I made it all into medicine. So I'm going to have to do that on the next run because it is something I want to try because the raw plant material has a higher healing properties than the dried and cured. So
Oh, wow. That's
yeah,
interesting.
so that's why they say juicing cannabis can be so beneficial. Inez, you, they had said something on our last call together about you guys knowing someone who could potentially get you some kind of medical cannabis. Did you ever get a
Yeah,
chance
but
to
it
try
was a
it?
nightmare. They gave me the lady that said it was well, she had experience, so she made some portion just for me to have a test, and I don't know what it was. I think it was something that she joined, like oil of lemon of something. I don't know.
Okay.
It was a pain in the stomach that I thought that I was dying that night.
Oh,
So I don't know, because here you can find it, but and you have to trust anyone
yeah,
that said
whoever
it.
grew it and whoever made it. Yeah, and
Yeah,
it's not
because
dispensary quality. Yeah.
we don't have this in Portugal. We
Yeah.
don't have it.
Oh,
So I was trying to, but it was really another bad experience.
What are you
It
beeping?
was really.
yeah. It looks like Sarah is joining us. I don't know if we have audio and video on her yet, but we do have her trying to come in. Yeah, that's
Well,
really,
you said
Where's
3
Clark
o'clock.
from? Jessica,
what's that?
where's Clark from?
Oh, so Clark is from Pennsylvania. This is one of my first MPN patients I met. Hi, Clark.
Ah, Hi, Clark.
Meet everybody
Hi.
that
Hi,
made
guys.
it. We
Where
sorry
in
we had
Pennsylvania?
yeah. We had some issues with our original planned Zoom meeting, and I had to create a whole new one because I updated my Zoom and something went wonky. So I apologize for everybody that was getting the information late. I am going to do this again, just so you guys know. We will do another meeting, so hopefully everybody will get a chance to be on it this time. And so, but since we do have a couple of new people coming in, why don't we go ahead and let everybody have a chance to just, speak real quickly about where your numbers are at, where you're from, and what medications you're currently trying. And so, Clark, why don't we start with you, and then we'll get to Alec and Sarah once they are fully online here. And then we'll go through everybody from there, okay?
Okay, good. Is that a real background? Are you at Caribbean or something?
I wish I was the Caribbean. No, it's a background. Yeah.
I was jealous. I'm thinking, wow,
That mentally, that's where I am.
Well, anyway, it's very, yeah, that's very, very chilling. Thank you.
Yes, of course.
So anyway, I was diagnosed in May of 2019. My just typical blood check, and my primary care physician said, this is sort of weird. Your platelets have been somewhat elevated over the last 5 years, so maybe we should send you to an oncologist. So I went, and they did the tests, and the blood numbers for the platelets were anywhere from the low 4s to maybe the mid 5s. So when I go to this oncologist, he does a test, and it's the highest that they ever were. They were 596. So he said, "Oh, it's no problem. You have a light switch; it won't turn off. Give you a pill, and you'll be good to go." There was no explanation of what the diagnosis was. He sends me to these nurses, and they say, "Well, you're going to take this medicine. It's called Hydrea." And I said, "Well, am I going to have to be on that? Like, how long?" "Well, probably the rest of your life." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." So then I said, "Well, I guess the good news is at least I don't have cancer." And they said, "Yes, that's good news." So I go home, investigate on Google an hour or two later, and I call my wife, and I said, "I can't believe this. I got like what they're calling some kind of blood cancer here." She says, "What?" So, I'm freaking out. And fortunately, I was able to find a wonderful lady in the Pittsburgh area, Jean Deitch, that helps people with some support. And then I got a hold of Jessica because her profile on the MPM network was impressive because she tries holistic things, which I've always done. I'm not on any medicine to today. So I'm a spiritual guy. So I'm a pastor, and I believe God can touch us. Sometimes we get healed, sometimes we don't, but there's nothing wrong with asking him about those kind of things. So I have a great love for ancient Christianity and the Eastern Orthodox tradition, even though I'm an evangelical Protestant pastor, because I like the Orthodox. They allow mystery. They believe in the miraculous through a lot of different means. So I had a friend that told me that I should go visit this particular piece. It might sound crazy to you guys, but I'll tell you the whole story. So anyway, I go to this church, and they're having this icon there that actually was in Chicago, Jessica, a few years ago, and 10,000 people showed up to this thing. And this particular icon has a history of bringing miracles through the Blessed Mother, the Theotokos, and it emits this myrrh. It's miraculous. It's like this perfume oil that comes miraculously through this icon. There's no pipes, no hype artificial stuff. So this guy said, "Well, Clark, you got to check it out. You never know." So I go, and I'm not anticipating anything, but I'm very humbled as I see these people there with all different kind of physical needs. And it turns out my primary care physician showed up there because he's Coptic Orthodox. He brought his family. And so I go in, and I experienced that night, something happened, and I wasn't real sure, but it was like I saw full moon. It was like God saying, "You received the fullness of faith." And so I said, okay, I'm getting healed psychologically, emotionally, mentally, maybe physically, I don't know. So that following week, my oncologist, Dr. James Rossetti, turns out he's an Orthodox Christian, and he believes in this stuff. Okay. So I meet him. I like him right away because I'm an ex-hippie. He comes in with a ponytail, and we hit it off. The first half hour, we're just talking about our pilgrimage spiritually. And so he says, "Well, this is what you got here." He says, "I'd like to get a bone marrow, blah, blah, blah." So I said, okay. Well, I said, at this point in time, my numbers aren't crazy. I'm not like really interested in starting this Hydrea right now. He says, "Well, you're at risk. You're 69 at that time. I'll be 70 in February." But he says, "It looks like you're in shape. You're more fit than 40-year-olds that come in here. So I don't have a problem with weight." And he says, "I would like you to start aspirin, baby aspirin." I said, okay. So to make a long story short, I get this bone marrow biopsy. I did not feel a thing. And I'm a big baby, believe me. My wife's with me. We're praying. We're putting this needle in. And
they knocked me out.
Yeah, some of you guys.
I woke up during it, and it was not fun for me.
Oh, wow.
I don't know how you did it. You had God's grace during that.
Well, this was miraculous because I asked for a shot. They forgot to give it to me. I didn't ask for it. my wife's thinking this, my husband's a big baby, he's going to be freaking out. Well, they finished the thing and the lady says, well, I'm done. And I said, you kidding? And she said, no. And then my wife, lady says, you want to see the needle? I said, no, I'll let that be a mystery. And then my wife says, it looks like a meat thermometer, you know? So anyway, they get that. I get a blood test that day and my high numbers are 596. All of a sudden they're 450. This is since that experience with the prayer. So I go and see Rossetti for a follow-up and he says, well, all the number, keep doing what you're doing. He's crying. He's like, okay, I've heard of this, you know, God's up to something here. Let's just take it one day at a time. So he had me on monthly blood tests. And so the blood tests after that were in the 350 range. They were 330, 350, 370, every once in a while, 420, whatever. But they haven't been up in the 5. So I don't look at this arrogantly, or I don't look at this like I'm entitled. All I know is what I know right now. Okay. So tomorrow could be different, so now I'm on blood tests every 2 months, not every month. And so now stress is a big issue for all of us. And it is for me. So anyway, how am I dealing with stress? How are you guys dealing with stress with COVID? So my prayer life, I swim 3 times a week. I swim 40 laps, butterfly, backstroke, freestyle to keep my lungs active. And I've also read some papers on the importance of exercise. Okay. Now, when the pools were shut down, I was doing long walks with my dog, but I'm trying to do cardio stuff continually. I take omega fish oil in the morning, Nordic Naturals. I take turmeric because there's been some good papers on that. Garden of Life, 551 milligrams in the morning and night. I take the baby aspirin. I take the zinc, and I take vitamin D3, 5,000 IUs of vitamin D3. Also in the beginning, when I first went to the first support group meeting, I found a link and it said what not to eat if you have low platelets. So I just thought, conversely, if these things or these food products would create problems with people with low platelets, what could they do with someone with high platelets? So one of them is tahini. I take 2 spoons of tahini every morning. I take cranberry juice, mix it with vitamin C, and then I have some turmeric shots. So that's sort of my protocol right now. So I'm not on any medicine at this point in time. I figure the longer I can wait, by God's grace, to have to deal with medicine, the better that's going to be, because as you guys know, there's all these other issues with the medicines as well. So that's my story at this point in time, by God's grace. And I pray for you guys every day. I don't know who you are, but I pray for the Health Unlocked Network and the MPM Network and the people I know. Jessica's in my prayers, along with her son Gabe, every day, and some other people I know personally who are struggling with some incurable health issues. But one thing that's really interesting right now, we have what we're dealing with, but the whole world's dealing with something right now. So these are tough times.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, there's Sarah. She's coming on. Welcome to the group. All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We got a late start because I had some issues with our Zoom meeting, as you guys probably have seen with the email that came late. So we've already had a few people that have been on and left, but we are going to do this again. I'm going to try to have a little better plan for next time. And I won't update my Zoom before the meeting next time, so we won't have any issues. But we were just going through and giving everybody a chance to kind of introduce themselves and talk about where their numbers are and what alternative treatments that they're taking. And Clark just gave his. I'm going to let Alec go ahead and give hers because she just came into the group. So if you want to go ahead, Alec.
Okay, Alec is I'm using my husband's iPad, but it's Stacy.
It's Stacy. Oh, okay.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Stacy.
Thanks for having this. This is,
of course,
answered prayer. I've been really just praying for community and just to come together with other ET sufferers and try to focus on a more natural approach So this is just really a blessing. I'll make it quick, but excuse me. I've been tracking my platelets since 2014. I wasn't diagnosed until 2018, March 2018. But in 2014, my platelets were 636. And, you know, no doctor did raise a red flag at all, even though I had a lot of symptoms. So now, let's see, my last blood work was August of 2020, and it was 795. So I've only gone, you know, in 6 years, I've only gone 160, up 160. I didn't start. So when I was diagnosed, my doctor was pretty conservative, and he said, you know, we're not going to worry about anything right now. Your numbers are going slowly. So, you know, we're just going to put you on baby aspirin. And then I started looking into the natural therapies, and I saw a naturopath, an oncologist who was a naturopath, and she recommended that I start turmeric as texanthin. I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm sorry. Does anybody know how to pronounce that? As texanthin, fish oil, CBD, theracumin, and vitamin D, berberine. So I'm taking all of that. I'm also taking NAC and vitamin B complex. I'm taking citicoline cognizin because I had problems with my memory, and she recommended that citicoline cognizin, and I can say that I believe that has helped. It's by Healthy Origins, and let's see what else. She also recommended dipyrimidol, which is a antiplatelet, a very cheap antiplatelet prescription. I started on it, but I was a little hesitant because I didn't really know, I didn't really think she understood essential thrombocythemia very well. And I was a little nervous taking that drug. Kind of, I felt like a guinea pig.
Yeah.
Right.
There's a lot of information about it having anti-cancer properties. However, I don't think it's been studied very well with what we have. So I was a little nervous going that route, and I stopped it. And I tried to talk to anyways, I don't want to go off on a tangent here. I know everyone needs to be introduced. So anyways, glad to be here, and I'll let somebody else share their story.
How do you spell that real quick, Alec?
It's Stacy. She's using her husband's account.
Oh,
that's okay. Alex Stacy, I'm good with it. It's I think it stands for shoot, what does it stand for?
That's okay. I can figure it out. I've just never heard of it until now. I just wanted to.
Stacy, when we're done with our call today, maybe you could reply to the email that has everybody on it and just share what all you're taking. And sure. I think we can all do that too. If you guys, want to do that, we can all just sort of reply back and forth with that email to share what we're taking. Because some of these things I've never heard of, and I don't even know how to spell it to look it up.
Yeah, definitely. No problem.
Thank you.
To.
And Stacy, you're also in California, correct?
Right.
Okay. Oh, where?
I'm in Monterey.
Okay. I'm outside. I'm in Hermosa Beach outside of Los Angeles.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
Area. Okay.
Great. Another Kelly.
Okay. All right. Why don't we have Monica? Do you want to go?
Sure.
Okay.
Absolutely. I mean, I think I posted a little bit in the chat box.
Okay.
I was just looking from some blood work from about 12 years ago, and I just found it like in a medical record. I wish I had more of them just to kind of compare. And they were 375 12 years ago when I was
Oh, wow.
41. So now I'm 53. So it was only 12 years ago that they were 375. And they slowly have been climbing. The highest, I mean, they've usually for the last, I would say 6 years, 7 years, they've hovered around like 550 and 600, 550 to maybe 650. But recently, unfortunately, I did get COVID. And thank God I have a lot of herbal knowledge to get me through it. But the last, and that happened in November. So my platelets are the highest I've ever been, which was 794, like 2 days before I got my positive. And then after COVID, I think I just had blood work maybe a month ago. They were 753. So I don't know if my body is kind of, readjusting itself since having COVID. And I've been under a lot of stress lately. So I'm sure if I went and got my blood tested today, it would be very high.
Yeah.
Dealing with some flooding issues from my upstairs
Oh,
about the third time. So
geez.
I was having COVID, so I can't use my bedroom until I get the mold remediation. So fighting with insurance companies and all that kind of stuff. So I haven't been sleeping well on an air mattress and all that. But so, and then I work with children. I'm a licensed therapist. So I think I got it by unfortunately going into homes with treating autistic children. So I think there was one woman that wasn't super good about wearing her mask. And so anyways, it doesn't matter. So now I'm doing like all telehealth sessions. So my income's been a little cut from not being able to physically go and treat in person. So anyway, I'll get through it. Thank God I do know how to meditate. I just had a very nice meditation and, just trying to keep my mind centered on solutions and not, in the going, this is the third time you flooded me. Come on, get with it, get a leak detector, do something, and then, I live in an association. We live in a condo association. So what's their role in mine? So anyway, needless to say, I'm working on my mental state at the moment. And praise God, I do a lot of walking. My diet is vegan. I've been vegetarian for many years, since I was 16. I did go vegan about a year ago. So I know there's a lot of things that I try to get in my diet, the B12, the iron. So I have good sources of that with nutritional yeast, like I said, beets, spinach, but trying to balance, the vegetables out is a big one for me now. I really would like to know like how many greens per day I should eat versus, what is going to raise your platelets. And so I can't really get like a straight answer. Of course, doctors aren't on my top list. I haven't found one yet that I respect.
You probably need more of a nutritionalist, I would think, for something like this,
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, nutritionist, but one that knows ET, not just a regular one, because it's the same thing. My hematologist, I ask him questions. He just eat a Mediterranean, just eat a Mediterranean diet, but that doesn't mean anything, so the diet,
all things need balance, so as much as we want to avoid vitamin K, I'm sure at some level we do need a little bit of it.
Exactly. So finding the balance is what I'm trying to do. And like I said, I've researched so much on my own. So the vegetables with salicylates, which is the ingredient in Africa, I was saying. So a lot more mushrooms, squashes, and garlic, of course. I try to eat like at least 2 or 3 raw cloves a day, and put it in my food. Or, I mean, I'm Italian. I just put it in my mouth like crazy and chew it sometimes. If it's my medicine, it's my medicine, just like you do with the CBD oil.
Yep.
Turmeric, I did read that it can cause some liver concerns. So I don't know, like if you look up turmeric and liver concerns. So I've only been taking a teaspoon of it a day. I
don't take milk thistle.
I haven't olive leaf extract I do for immunity, but that milk thistle, yeah, I know that's good for the liver. That's a good,
Yeah, so I take milk thistle as well,
With your
just because I'm taking, yes, exactly.
because that's, I was like, wow, okay, so milk thistle, that's very good.
Yep.
Yeah.
Milk thistle helps to flush the liver out. And so we have I mean, one of the things it's just a hypothesis of mine, but I always have massive muscle soreness and stiffness and headaches. And I feel like even when I work out the littlest bit, I get so sore from doing nothing. I mean, and I've always been a pretty physically fit person. And I think it has, I mean, again, this hypothesis of mine, I think it has something to do with the fact that our liver and spleen are having to flush out all these platelets on top of all the regular toxins. And so that's why I take the milk thistle, is because I'm trying to help my liver, you know, be able to flush things out a little better. And I also like put a little chlorophyll in my water sometimes. I don't do it every day just because of the scare of the vitamin K. Same thing with the spirulina. I take my
spirulina. I do too. Right.
Yeah, but I take them like every other day instead of every day.
Right.
But I do a lot of that kind of stuff, and obviously lots of water drinking just to try to help me flush some of it out, because even after a massage, sometimes it's like, I feel like all the cramps come right back, and it's like, man, I drank as much water as I'm supposed to, and it just still keeps happening. So, but same thing with the turmeric, you know, if there is any potential for it to harm the liver, and I suppose it probably has to do with the quality of the turmeric that you're taking, you know. I mean, it's a root, so it's going to pull toxins and things from the ground.
Soil.
So if it's grown in a soil that has more heavy metal toxins, certainly it could harm your liver, you know. So you definitely want to make sure of your source of turmeric when you're taking it, especially in such high doses.
Yeah. So you think, so you think that the milk thistle then balances it out?
I mean, that's my philosophy on it.
I know. See, and this is the thing. That's what I've been doing, because I have gotten no answers from any doctor.
Yeah. I mean, my body is an experiment at this point. I just do what I read about, what I think is going to work. I try it. And if it gives me good platelet numbers and I feel better, then it works, you know.
I think that's what's going on. Cause I've been to the hematologist, you know, I was diagnosed 6 months ago, and he spent like zero explaining it to me. He told me over the phone and said, come back in a couple months. So I wasn't Jake 2 until 6 months ago. So my platelets, though, have been climbing for like 6 or 7 years. So I don't understand what created them not know. You know, I guess I've never had a bone marrow biopsy, and I'm not super excited about getting one. I don't tolerate, I mean, I had a colonoscopy and threw up from the anesthesia and aspirated. Like, I'm crazy with stuff like that.
I am too. I'm such a wimp. I hate procedures, but I did get my bone marrow biopsy last summer.
You did?
Yeah, I did. I finally went.
So you encourage it just to see exactly.
Well, my hematologist talked me into it, because she said, you know, if we don't have a baseline of where you're at now, we're not going to know if things are accelerating later. So she's like, if we at least do it, then we have a baseline. And so I went through it. They knocked me out for it. And I woke up during the procedure and felt them drilling in my,
God.
Then you know, I fell back asleep, but like, after it was over, it was like a blip of a second in time, you know, I was fine. I was a little sore. I'm still a little sore on my tailbone, actually.
Oh, wow.
I mean,
how long ago was it?
It was last fall. It was August of last year.
Oh my God.
But they said that I had minimal signs of fibrosis. So that was a good thing. And, you know, and the other thing I've always wanted to sort of look a little deeper into is the naturopathic doctor I told you guys about from Pennsylvania. She had mentioned that there is a specific type of Lyme disease that can mimic this blood disorder and can cause your platelets to raise. And JAK2 apparently is not an uncommon thing for us humans to have. Like, lots of people can have JAK2 mutation without having any essential thrombocythemia. And so once I figured that out, I was like,
huge. I've not heard that.
Yeah.
So we could have Lyme disease and not ET.
Right. And I've always associated the JAK2 mutation to my ET. But then when I read that, I was like, wait a minute, are you serious? You can have JAK2 and not have any blood disorder at all? And they said, yeah, it's actually quite common for people to have. So
Jessica, did the bone marrow biopsy kind of rule out the Lyme? Because
I didn't ask my hematologist about it. I am going to ask her on my next visit. because, you know, it took a while to get the results. So I've only seen her once since that bone marrow biopsy. And with COVID, we've done a lot of telemedicine. So, you know, I just go get my blood work
Yeah,
and she talks to
definitely.
me and then it's done, you know? So, and really all she's looking at is my platelets and, you know, it's pretty much it. And she just asked me if I'm
Right.
taking the same medications. And then, you know, I mean, it's very minimalistic, but I do plan to ask her about that on my next visit. If she knows of any link, you know, between that and if it's something I should be looking into. But it is something I want to do some more research on before our next call so that I can share with you guys what I find because, you know, I guess it is potential that the platelets can rise from a specific type of Lyme disease.
Yeah.
And I could
mean,
not
I always
find my
thought
email
mine-
where she sent that to me because I wanted to share it with you guys. And I wanted to invite her to this summit as
Wow.
well. And I don't know why I could not find her communication with me because it's been several years since I talked to this woman. So
Wow.
I'm just gonna have to look it up on my own, I think. I'm
So I have-
actually sad that Kenny didn't get to join us because there's another MP and patient named Kenny who was supposed to be part of this call today. And he was also communicating with the same doctor in Pennsylvania. So he would probably have her contact information if I can get a hold of him. So I'll try to find that for you guys before our next time that we do this.
Actually, I have it. You sent it to me.
I did?
You sent it to me.
Yay. Awesome.
Good.
Okay, well, share it back,
I'm
please.
from Pittsburgh. I'm actually from Pittsburgh originally before Florida. So when I
you
go
might
to
have-
visit,
no, you might
would-
have a different. So there's another doctor I know in Pennsylvania, Monica. She's another Monica.
yes.
No, that's
Yeah.
a different doctor. She is a naturopath
Okay.
and she's also helped sign people to get their medical cannabis cards. So that's why I give her contact information because
Oh,
she's very pro cannabis and she's done a lot of research on cannabis. So she knows a lot about natural medicine as
Okay.
well as cannabis. And she's an integrative medicine. So she does both regular Western medicine and alternative. So, but no, that's not the same doctor. That's not her. I'm sorry. I was excited
Okay.
for a second. I'm like, yay, we get her. I'm going to have to
Oh,
figure
okay.
out.
So I've been taking,
Go ahead.
yeah, so I've been taking white willow instead of aspirin because I don't even want to take aspirin if I don't have to. And I've been taking like 400 milligrams of that.
What is it called,
And
Monica?
then
I'm sorry.
It's the herb that aspirin comes from.
made from,
It's
yeah.
white willow bark.
White, what?
Mm-hmm.
Willow bark. I'm typing it in
Willow?
the chat.
Yeah,
Here,
can
I
you
can put it
please?
in.
Thank
There we
you.
go.
Yeah.
Trying to keep up here. And if I think
Yeah. So, I mean, there you go. White willow bark. So, yeah, so I take 400 milligrams. Now, my concern at this point, because I looked at, and tahini, I've been eating like, I love tahini. I'm Middle Eastern and Italian. So that's all just in my blood. So I take a banana and put tahini on it and eat it. You know, I know it's a little bitter, but it doesn't bother me. It just the sweetness of the banana. But so I found, you know, incorporating that into my diet too. But I'm worried that now I'm taking so many herbs to lower my platelets. Would that cause bleeding? See, so these, like, I'm taking so much stuff that my platelets, because I don't know, like, and plus being vegan and I don't drink or smoke. So I try to, so I don't want to cause a bleed. So, but does a doctor know? What I'm saying, like, I have these questions like that. Can you take too many herbs that can thin your blood too much and cause a bleed?
Yeah, that was why I didn't want to take that prescription, dipyrimidol, because it's also a thinner or an anti-platelet drug.
Yeah.
But I think, where are you at? Are you at 5? Are you even at 500?
Oh, I'm like, right now I was 754 after COVID. So that was the highest my platelets ever were. I mean, they were staying like in the 500s. They've been sneaking up to 600, but now like the last 6 months, it's 720. And then I had COVID and it was 794. So, I mean, that was probably just from the virus.
Have you had what is it, the von Willebrand factor? That's what will tell the doctor what your bleeding risk is.
See, no, that's what I was saying. There has to be a test.
Yeah.
Now, that's what I'm saying. They don't give you information.
The von Willebrand factor. My doctor tested me, the naturopath, not the regular. And,
of course not.
And I was low risk, but you might, that maybe that would make you feel better if you could get that done. But you'd have to probably ask your provider, and who knows if they would do it.
Yeah. I have an appointment with an MPN specialist that I got from the list online at the Cleveland Clinic here in Weston, Florida. What is her name? Her name is Dr. Chia Lin Fu. So she's Asian too. So maybe she'll be, I'm hoping, a little more holistic with the Chinese herbs too. Maybe if it's, never know.
Yeah.
So she was recommended. I mean, I have some other groups online and people said that she was recommended, as well as in Tampa at the Moffitt Cancer Center. There's some good people. So she's only an hour and a half from me. So I have an appointment on February 5th so I can report what she says. But like I said, no hematologist so far, or even like my heart doctor, because I had a history of SVT, like an irregular heartbeat, but I did have like an ablation done. So, I was seeing like, okay, come on, logically speaking, your heart pumps your blood. So if you have an irregular heartbeat, it has to have an effect on your blood. If your blood's already sluggish and your heart's crazy, and nobody could tell me, the cardiac heart specialist, who I totally respect because he did an amazing job on my ablation, didn't tell me the effect of that on my platelets. So, and then the hematologist sent me back to him. He sent me back to the hematologist. So neither one of them could answer a question of how your heart affects your platelets.
Well, no,
Like that.
now the blade, I'll send you some information. There was somebody on the MPN chat group who talked about getting an ablation, and they had read that there was something to do with ET, and they wrote down what it was called. And my dad has that heart problem, so I was trying to find out more about it.
Yeah.
But
AFib?
no, it's not AFib. It was, gosh,
SVT, supraventricular tachycardia. Is that, because that's what
I don't think so. Let me see if I'll try to
Oh,
find
that's
it
what my
and
hand-
bring it up if I find it.
But I'm
took
so
a
much better since I had the ablation, but sometimes, that's a vulnerable organ. So if I get really stressed, if I don't sleep, I'll get like minor heart palpitations, But I mean, I take liquid cayenne pepper. If you want to stop heart palpitations, like liquid cayenne from Dr. Richard Schultz, he's in
Wow.
action.
Really?
It's like
Cayenne.
250,000 heating units, and it will like shock your heart back into place. Like if you're having a
Wow.
heart attack, just liquid cayenne. Dr. Richard Schultz. He's a little right. He's crazy, but he's amazing. He's over there in Marina Del Rey, California.
Oh, I was gonna say,
He's your
Yeah.
neighbor.
me.
Is that by you?
Dr.
That is by
Richard
you.
Schultz.
Richard
is by-
Schultz. He's a little crazy, but he's awesome.
What kind of a doctor is he?
He's a holistic naturopath. He's a naturopath doctor.
Oh, I love those. Dr.
Yeah, he's
Richard
right.
Schultz.
He's not doctor oriented, I mean, but he's amazing. Like he had a clinic in California. He got shut down many times trying to, heal cancer patients, putting them on fast with his whole herbal regimen. They're a little pricey, but the liquid cayenne is amazing. For if you have any kind of heart, and it's good for platelets too, I think, because anything that thins your blood, it helps your cholesterol. He has a heart remedy too with motherwort herb, hawthorn berries, and the liquid ginger and liquid cayenne together. So there's a heart formula, and then there's plain liquid cayenne. But if you're over there, go check his shop out in Marina Del Rey.
Yeah, I just put in the chat to make sure I did his spelling right.
Yeah, it's SCH. Yeah, here I'll put his if you Google, it's American Botanical. He actually had a heart condition that he healed himself. Let's go.
I found that post about the ablation.
Yes.
It's so unfortunately I took a screenshot, but I don't have the name of the poster. I cut that off. But it says that this person had an ablation and it went well. The folks at Sloan Kettering said that there was research that links the JAK2 mutation with cardiovascular disease, something called CHIP.
Oh, okay. Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Like my whole life. That's interesting.
Sloan Cancer Center is where they went.
And
I
Monica,
found this. Oh, go ahead.
sorry, what was the condition that you had said earlier? SV something or
Oh, SVT for short, but it's supraventricular tachycardia. And I always thought, oh, I just have low blood sugar, I just like passed it off as other things, anxiety, everyone's always like, people get heart palpitations for many different reasons,
Yeah, caffeine does it to me.
Exactly. Caffeine, right. You're not supposed to. But I mean, until I actually caught it, I was going through a really stressful time, and I went to the ER because it was just off the charts high. And that they have to catch it on an EKG. If you just go and get an EKG, they're never gonna catch it. You know what I mean? So you have to be in the tachycardia in order for them to detect it. So you have a heart monitor for 24 hours, or actually a week. But see, I wouldn't ever have it even weekly. Sometimes it would be monthly or every 2 months. I'd go long periods of time without heart palpitations, and all of a sudden I would get it.
Yeah.
I just always thought, oh, it's anxiety, it's stress, it's this, but I actually had a condition, and you can't diagnose it unless you're in it.
Yeah.
It's a crazy thing. So you have to wear one of those heart monitors,
Right. Yeah, they had me wear one for a week after my TIA. And of course, I never had palpitations during the time I was wearing it. But as soon as they took it off, it was
You had one.
That's
I
when it
know.
happened.
It
So-
drove me crazy.
whatever.
But you can now get, if you guys want to track it, I have an EKG monitor. I can, and it wasn't that much. I think it was like 50. I think it was under $100. And you just put your fingers on it if you're having arrhythmia, and it will read tachycardia, bradycardia, as if your heart rate is too slow. Mine, when I had COVID, was dipping down low, my heart rate. And I'm like, that's not normal. My heart rate is never 50. It went to like 40 one time. I was like, whoa, because it could affect your heart,
Yeah.
easy.
My regular MD is wanting to send me for some bubble. What is it? It's endocardiogram with bubble study.
Okay.
And she said that may have some correlation to the aura migraines.
Oh, interesting.
There's some kind of a heart condition that can, and I think it's this SVT that you're talking about,
SVT.
because she asked me about heart palpitations, and she, said that that particular condition that she's testing me for, I guess, can give you the aura migraine. So we'll see.
Wow.
I haven't gone for it because of COVID. I just don't want to go to the hospital right now.
Yeah, I don't need. Yeah, I'm like, I don't really want to
that
go
test
to
later.
No, I hear
So,
you.
But
So anyway, I mean, the garlic, ginger, cayenne, hawthorn berries, all of those are really good for your heart.
okay,
Lower cholesterol at the same time too.
right.
Like
Red
and
yeast rice is how my grandmother got hers down.
Oh, with what?
Red yeast rice. The
Yeah,
Chinese red yeast rice helps with cholesterol.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yep. So all of that, and of course, good fats helps too.
Yeah.
Take EPA DHA from barley or urdu oil, URDU, because I'm vegan, so
Yeah.
that's my fish oil.
Yeah, I do krill oil and flaxseed oil.
Yeah.
I do
Mm-hmm.
both of those.
So yeah.
Okay, so if you're done, Monica, I'm going to go ahead and
Yes.
pass over to Sarah and let her
Absolutely.
introduce herself and talk for a few minutes, and then we'll let Inez go next. And so go ahead, Sarah, if you're ready.
Hi, my name's Sarah. I'm from across the country. I'm from New Jersey.
Okay.
As for the bubble test, I had that.
Oh, you did?
In October. I had 2 echocardiograms. The second one I had, they said, we're going to do another test. I had no idea what it was. What my cardiologist said, everything's fine. So I don't really know. I have another echo in a year, so I'll get another one done in a year. Had a stress test, had a lung capacity test. But my platelets are now 1.3 million. I'm not on anything other than an aspirin. Honestly, when I want to take it, I don't like taking things. I've heard numerous things about, you should take an aspirin, you shouldn't take an aspirin. I was diagnosed in February. I'm all over the place, so sorry. I was diagnosed in February of 2019 with the bone marrow.
Mm.
It wasn't bad at all. So
really?
I think her name was Monica, who is nervous about it.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't want to.
Me too. I don't want it.
I don't want to.
I didn't want to either, but I finally did it. So, I mean,
Yeah, and you feel
way worse than it was. I did a lot of deep breathing through it.
you're
you know,
awake.
I was awake. I had, they numbed the area.
Yeah.
He did give me like a Xanax or whatever. I
Okay.
didn't take it because I was so nervous that day that I didn't eat.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But it was fine. I walked out of there. I did errands. I mean, I was a little sore, but
Wow.
nothing. That was my experience. So.
Yeah, everyone's so different, you know?
Yeah. My hematologist asked me if I wanted to see the bone and stuff. I mean, it felt like a bee sting.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow.
And then pressure, and that's it. So,
wow.
My experience.
Man, mine did not feel like a bee sting when I woke up during that surgery. Did not feel like a bee sting.
That's going to be me. I know it. I'd have Jessica's experience.
I'm sorry. I shouldn't share that with you guys because I'm such a wimp when it comes to procedures. I am
too. It's terrible.
I am absolutely terrible. So don't trust my judgment on that because it could have just been me mentally psyching myself out over it. Who knows? But I don't. I'm glad the experience wasn't bad though. So
yeah, me too.
Yeah, I was so red. I was scared. Like people in the waiting room knew I was. You could tell my face was red like a tomato. I was very nervous.
Yeah.
But I kept saying to myself, like, if kids can do this, I can do that.
Right.
That's what I kept telling myself.
That's good.
And it's short. It doesn't last very long.
Yeah.
So.
How long?
I think the procedure is not even 10 minutes long.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It is quick. Yeah.
It's quick. Okay.
Yeah.
So where are your platelets at, Sarah?
1.3 million.
Oh, okay. You're still at 1.3. Okay.
Yeah. So they found it routine blood work. And then my doctor it was 795, I think, and they just kept watching it for a few months. And then that December, they were getting a little higher. They were in the 800s. So that was December of 18. And then February of 19, I had my bone marrow. I have the CALR mutation, supposedly the good one. I exercise, pre-COVID, I exercised constantly, ate very clean. COVID, working from home, not so much. But I do take fish oil and, vitamin D, the B.
Yeah, good.
People kept telling me to eat a lot of squash. Didn't seem to do anything. Then my platelets just keep going up and up and up and up.
Wow.
Have you is your doctor pressuring you at all to no. Good.
He really doesn't want me to go on medicine. I did go to a specialist down in Philadelphia who did blood work up the yin yang. I liked her, but her words were, well, I'm sure you're not going to come back and see me again. You're just here for an initial visit. That kind of
that's weird.
That didn't sit well with me because Philadelphia is only maybe an hour and a half for me, depending on traffic.
Where
I go there a couple times a year. I wouldn't care. I found another one in New York, in Sloan, and I really seem to like him. I only saw him once. I'm supposed to go see him on the 27th of this month, which I'm very nervous about because I really don't want to go to New York City.
Yeah.
I don't
No, it's not a.
So I may postpone it and just put it off maybe February. I don't really know. But I came across this on Facebook, and anything natural, because I am deathly afraid to go on any kind of medicine.
Me too. Yeah.
Like, scared, and none of them, both of them are like,
Right.
when I went to my specialist in New York a year ago, my platelets were 1 million. So I have been in the million range for a little over a year. They both, my cardiologist and my hematologist, both say that they haven't moved up that much, my platelets. But to me, going from 1.1 to 1.2, now 1.3, like,
Yeah.
I am like panicky.
Mm-hmm.
Fine.
Yeah.
Are you having any side effects, Sarah? Like feeling like what's going on else with your body with your platelets being so high?
Yeah.
Well, my spleen is enlarged. They say it's very not much. It's very, very small. I feel fine. I mean, I just kind of go about my day.
Okay.
I do get now with COVID here, and not much to do. I mean, I do get outside a lot, but it is at times very depressing.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Do you get migraines or numbness and tingling in your hands and feet or dizziness or blurred vision?
I do get headaches, very not bad. They're just like there. They're not throbbing. They're just
A dull.
very dull.
dull.
Yeah.
I had those for a while, and then once they diagnosed me and I started taking the baby aspirin, those went away, but my migraines have gotten worse.
Oh.
But my
Yeah.
migraines are linked to my hormonal, like feminine cycles, and my sister gets them really bad too, and she does not have ET. So I think it might just be more of a genetic thing with,
Right.
hormonal. So
I have noticed lately, now that it's cold, I do go for walks. I still go kayaking in the winter. My fingertips get numb very quickly.
Yeah.
And that's new, I guess. I don't remember it being like that last winter.
Yeah.
Other than that, I now that I'm working from home, I really don't drink as much water as I used to.
Yeah, that's super important. That's like the number one thing you got to do with this condition.
Yeah, definitely.
I know.
Water.
So I'm trying.
Okay.
I used to drink about a gallon of water a day, and then COVID hit, and I don't know. I just sit at the computer all day.
Yeah. Yeah, when you're not that active, it's hard to drink a lot of water. And like here in Chicago, when it's freezing cold out, we can't get outside really, like there's
Right.
the streets are icy. Like I couldn't go jogging if I wanted to. So, it's hard to get a lot of fluids and get any exercise when you're locked indoors, 6 months out of the year. So that's why I'm moving to this tropical place behind me. See that? Someday that's where I'm going to be.
On down.
I might go to Portugal with Ines. So you don't have access to my medicine, so I don't know if I can come there.
Yeah.
I know, that's the problem.
True. Yeah.
So everybody says to take turmeric, but I don't know, maybe because my platelets are so high, both of my the specialist says absolutely not.
Yeah. Well, see, you have the CALR, and the reason that I started taking turmeric is because I found a study from PubMed that showed that it killed the JAK2 mutation, which is what we all have. So that's why I started taking high turmeric, because I knew it could kill that JAK2 mutation. And I have seen a significant difference in my platelet count since I started with the higher doses of turmeric, but now I don't know if that's going to be true for the CALR. And I definitely, one of the other things we talked about earlier was stress being a big factor. And I definitely can equate the times I've been more stressed out to my higher platelet counts versus when I've been more calm. Like when I had my kidney stones and I was in a lot of pain, they went up over 1 million. And that's the only time I've ever gone over the 1 million was when I was in pain having kidney stones. Other than that, they've stayed. And, they fluctuated over the years, but I was in the 800-900s pretty steady for the first several years of my diagnosis. And then just over these last 2 or 3 years, I've gone down to the 600s. So, yeah.
I have a tremendous amount of stress in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every aspect of my life. I used to do yoga all the time, take off work, and then go to yoga before my doctor's appointment. But Yeah, now I'm just kind of like out of it
Yeah.
right
I
now.
mean, we all are with this COVID. It's been crazy. And I got to tell you,
Yeah.
one of the smartest things I've ever done for myself was turn off cable. I don't watch mainstream
Yeah.
media news
Yeah.
anymore. I don't
Right.
allow, because I can't control anything outside of my current reality. Right. So getting myself upset over politics or over what's going on in our country right now, it stresses me out so much because I care too much. And I've learned that I have to sort of learn to let that go and just breathe it out and go, whatever's going to happen is meant to happen. This is not part of my direct reality right now. Like, I need to just focus on right here and now and just try to enjoy little moments, like many of you know, my son was diagnosed with cancer last year, and it really it hit me like a Mack truck. It changed my perspective drastically on just my everyday life. And it made me really cherish the small things so much more than I ever have in the past. And I think that's made a big difference. I really feel that our mental and emotional state plays a very big role in how we're doing physically with this condition.
Yeah.
Jessica, could you address the benefits, because you're an expert on the CBD, medical marijuana, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
There obviously is the ability to, I guess our emotions can go like really down and calm with the right mixture of CBD, THC, or whatever.
Yeah.
So if someone's really high stress, that's going to trigger
Yeah.
inflation in our body.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
all this cancer stuff is highly inflammatory. So
It
what do
is.
you recommend that people do, or we do, when there might be a day or two a week that we're really crazy, other days we can cope, but what would you
Right.
recommend for people to be able to be calm?
Well, I mean, obviously there's many things we can do to be calm. As far, breathing is the biggest. Learning to just breathe deeply in through your nose and out through the mouth. I mean, that learning some breathing techniques. There's a gentleman named Wim Hof.
Yeah, that's good. He's good.
Wim Hof's amazing. He's got some fantastic breathing
Yeah.
techniques. Just really an amazing person. And I do watch his YouTube videos and do some of his breathing techniques. That has helped me a little bit. So first and foremost, I think breath is obviously your go-to for stress and anxiety. Learning how to just breathe through a situation and, just reconnect is very important. I think the CBD, where that comes in, is that, I was talking about this earlier, CBD helps your body's homeostasis to be more balanced. And so part of that are your sleep cycles, your levels of anxiety, your appetite. These are all things that your body's homeostasis controls. So when you have a fully nourished endocannabinoid system, which is the system inside your body that receives the CBD or the cannabis, when that system is, at optimum performance, and you've given it the tools it needs to be at optimum performance, then your body can heal itself more effectively, but also it can regulate stress a little better. So, when you're getting better sleep, you're healing more, you're able to have more time to recoup. When you have the lowered anxiety from taking the CBD over time, I think that plays a huge role in your body's inflammation response, and just in general, how we're feeling. And I was telling one of the, I don't remember who it was one of the MPN patients I was talking with over the phone, that, I don't know if it's necessarily that the cannabis itself is actually curing the blood disorder, or if it's just calming the stress enough that it makes my platelets go down. But it's one of those. Clearly, it's one of those. I mean, there is a lot of science saying that it can kill mutated genes. Cannabis actually creates apoptosis. One of the things it's best at is finding mutated genes and destroying them. And it leaves our healthy cells completely alone. And this is true in all the different cancer studies that are based around cannabis medicine.
Wow.
So, and then before I ever started cannabis treatment, I had found a study on cannabis actually killing leukemic cancer cells. And I knew that our blood disorder is in a family of leukemic cancers. And so that's what gave me hope to even try cannabis in the first place, was that study. With the turmeric, I found the PubMed study, and that's what, made me turn on to the turmeric. But I think that just giving your body the tools it needs to be able to heal itself are the most important things we can do. And I think that's where, diet, breath work, all those things play a role. It's not just the cannabis or the CBD alone. It's not just
Yeah.
turmeric alone. It's a combination of all those,
Yes.
I think, is what really
Definitely.
helps.
Yeah.
So,
And then the dose, Jessica, is 60 CBD to 5 milligrams of THC.
yeah. So, I mean, I gave you kind of a general because, again, you know, it based on what you have the ability to get a hold of. The inventory here in Illinois is always different. We have a major product shortage here. They've opened all kinds of new dispensaries without opening new cultivation here. So we have super high demand, super high prices, and very low availability of product. So here,
Wow.
I can't take a consistent regular dose all the time. Now, Clark has actually tried one of the CBD brands that I recommended that's from Colorado, the Receptor Natural. Are you still taking that, Clark? The Receptor Natural?
It's excellent. What it was,
I take it
yeah,
too.
Oh, you take it too?
yeah, what it was
Yeah.
doing after a while, sort of making me tired or groggy. Maybe I was taking too much of it, but that is a very, very good product. I highly recommend it. You know, and I don't really need this stuff every day. Like, yeah, well, yeah, I don't need this stuff every day, but there's seasons, you know, that there's a lot of extra stress. So those kind of things help during those times, you know, and I don't have to build it up and take it for a week to work. I can take it and within 15 minutes, I can tell that I'm calm. You know?
Yeah. And that all depends on your individual body's endocannabinoid system and where it's at. Some people, their endocannabinoid system is active and working just fine. And so they can take it as needed and that's okay.
Okay.
Some people have what's called human endocannabinoid deficiency syndrome. I know that sounds a little crazy, but it's basically there's like 4 or 5 different conditions. And if you have 2 or 3 of them, chances are your endocannabinoid system is not functioning to optimum capacity. So those conditions are PTSD, migraines, IBS, fibromyalgia, and what's the other one? Shoot. Sorry, it'll come to me. But anyway, if you have any combination of those, generally speaking, most people have an endocannabinoid deficiency. So those are the people that generally will have to take it for the 2 to 3 weeks for it to build up in their system in order to get it working to the full capacity. And then, you know, you can either just continue to take it all the time or you can take it as needed like Clark does. Now his platelets are pretty low. So, you know, for him, it probably works just fine as needed. You know, mine tend to stay in like somewhere between the 6s and 8s. And so I take it all the time because I've noticed that when I am taking my high CBD medicine, that it's, you know, my platelets tend to stay a little lower. And I mean, I've had 2.5 years of being in the 600s since I changed the level of CBD that I was taking. And also later on, then changed the level of turmeric I was taking.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he takes the Receptor Naturals is a company in Colorado that makes a hemp-based cannabis oil. So it doesn't have any THC in it. And it is a full spectrum though. So it's got the other plant cannabinoids and chemicals in there that I've talked about are so important. So that's sort of a minimalistic way to go about it if you don't want to have any THC or you can't have any THC because of the state that you're in or, you know,
your job.
Right, exactly, for your job, you know, so there's reasons some people just don't want to have any THC. And, you know, I've said this before, you have to have other cannabinoids in order to absorb CBD. You can't just take the distillate and expect to get any kind of results out of it. Now, for topicals, it works fine because it's a smaller molecule and it can pass into the skin and, you know, into the areas you're having pain, no problem. But when it comes to ingestible cannabis, you want full spectrum. And Receptor is one of the few companies that actually does that with the hemp. And so, yeah, so several people I know have started doing that just to get them going on the CBD and see how they feel with it. But if you're in California or somewhere that, you know, I know Pennsylvania has medical cannabis, you should be able to get a hold of a richer medicine that's going to have more cannabinoids and more of a broader spectrum profile of cannabinoids because it's actually a cannabis-based plant that they're growing to have the high CBD content versus a hemp plant that they're just trying to get as much CBD out of as they can. There is a difference between the two. They are in the same family, but they're different plants. So, but I am
How
noticing.
does that work? I don't know anything really about it, but they just opened a dispensary in my town.
Awesome.
like I don't know, it's probably been there since sometime in the summer. Is that something that you get a note from the doctor? Are there certain doctors?
Pardon me. So in Pennsylvania, I believe you have medical and recreational cannabis. So you should be able to walk in there and get it regardless. But, you know, in all states, it is beneficial to have a medical card if you can,
Right.
because you get a better price on your medicine, lower taxes. And most states will give medical patients priority on the inventory versus the recreational side of things, you know, so, you know, that's how Illinois works, where, you know, the medicine goes to the medical side first, and then it can't be transferred to recreational, but it can be transferred from recreational to medical if needed. So, you do end up with a little bit better selection and better prices if you go medical. The products should be the same, although, you know, most recreational facilities aren't really selling Rick Simpson oil in a syringe like what I take. They're selling edibles and smokable stuff.
Yeah.
On the medical side,
How
you know,
about
what I take for you know, the ET is basically concentrated cannabis oil that comes in a syringe. They call it RSO, or Rick Simpson oil. And I take the one that's much higher in CBD than THC. The amount of CBD doesn't matter. The more, the better. What you want to watch is your THC, because the THC is the part that's psychoactive. So you want to make sure that you have enough that you know it's working, but not too much to where it's going to make you have, you know, grogginess, or, you know, not feel so alert. You want to be able to still function throughout the day, obviously. So I usually recommend to start about 5 milligrams of THC and see how your body feels after a week or so. If you don't feel any effects at all, you can bump it up to 10. 10 milligrams is a normal standard adult dose of cannabis when it comes to the THC. But everyone's body is very different. Some people only need 5 or 6 milligrams to feel it, where other people need 45 milligrams to feel it. And because we're all different, I just always tell people to start with the lowest amount and work your way up. Okay. So start with 5 milligrams of THC. The CBD just has to be more than the THC. The more, the better. So it doesn't matter if it's a 14-to-1 or a 6-to-1, or, you know, whatever the ratio is, you just want higher CBD. And again, when I take this, I mean, I don't have consistency in the medicine. It's not like I'm always taking the same milligrams every time, because every time I go to the dispensary, there's different medicine available to me. So I have to sort of buy what I can get my hands on. And most recently, I've just been taking the medicine that I made myself at home, because I grew my own cannabis indoors, and then I extracted my own oils off the plant and made my own essential oil, basically. And I've been taking that. But like I was telling the group earlier, you know, when I started doing it that way, it's definitely more cost effective, but I wasn't able to grow any CBD rich plants, because the only one I got was male, and I had to remove it from the room. So the plants that I did extract from were all high THC. And for the first time in 2.5 years, my platelets came back in the 800s just recently. So I know I need to go back to having higher CBD for sure.
Yeah.
Can you write in the chat box, like the brand? You said it was RSO?
Rick Simpson oil. That's not a brand. That's just the term that they use to describe the syringe of concentrated oil. So Rick Simpson is the guy who's famous for discovering that cannabis could kill cancer cells.
Yeah, Jessica, thank you. I read his story after you said that.
Yeah, you're
Pretty
welcome.
amazing.
Yeah, it is really a heartwarming story for sure. It's terrible what this man's gone through to expose the fact that it can kill cancer cells, because nobody wants that information out there. So,
wow.
That's how these pharmaceuticals make their money.
I know.
Yeah,
That's why I haven't gone on HU.
I won't. I don't care. I'll walk around.
I don't want to. I don't care if my platelets stay in the 800s. I'm like, just let me try some other things, please. I'll go see a shaman. I don't care.
Yeah, me
I'll
too.
do some
I would.
shit
I'm not
first
going to do it.
before I go on that. I just don't want to do it. I really don't. I do
Right.
have a lady friend, and unfortunately she wasn't able to join us today. Her mother is passing. And so they're with her in hospice right now, but she lives here in Illinois. She's actually the sister of a lady that I'm really close friends with. And she also is ET with JAK2 mutation, but she's on HU because she's over 60. I think I want to say she's like 63 or 64. And she's been taking the Hydrea for probably about 1.5 to 2 years now. And she doesn't like it. They've got her doing like double doses every other day, because when she first started, her platelets did go down a little bit. I believe she's in the 400s now. But then after taking it for a while, it's like her body built immunity or something, and they started having to do double doses every other day with her on it. And she said she's just absolutely exhausted all the time. She has no energy at all. Obviously she's not allowed to be around certain people because she can get sick very easily being on the Hydrea. And, you know, I'm a social butterfly. There's no way I'm going to be able to this COVID thing's killing me.
Right.
It's just killing me. I am way too social for this. I'm the oldest of 6 children. I'm used to constant chaos, you know, and then my youngest son moved out and my house is so quiet. I'm just like, oh my God, I'm banging my head off the wall. It's been a big challenge for me. But, you know, there's no way if I went on Hydrea and had to stay cooped up at home all the time, I don't think I could do that. That's not a quality of life, you know? And so I want to try everything I possibly can before going on it. And, you know, if I can find any other information, whether that be through you guys or through searching the internet, you know, I want to be able to have those options available to try other things and see if they can work. And then, you know, I want to be able to share that with you guys, because so many of you have reached out to me now that I almost feel like this obligation, you know, because it's been so heartwarming and so inspiring for me to have this community. You guys are amazing. I mean, I never dreamed when she asked me to do the story that I would get so many phone calls and have so many of you guys reaching out to me and talking to me. And it's just really been wonderful to have that sense of community when you have such a rare condition that, you know, it's very hard to find people that can relate to what you're going through. And so it's really been nice for me. It's helped me get through a lot. And I really appreciate all of you guys. And I hope we get to do this again. Many times, and we get new information every time we do it, because I think it can only help us, you know. And I don't feel like there's a lot of resources, you know, for us right now.
Definitely not.
So I do feel that, you know, and you just mentioned too, that we have this rare condition. I feel like every day on Facebook, there's several people just being diagnosed with it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm like, how rare is it? I mean, it seems like there's millions of people.
I know. Yeah. It does seem like there's
Yeah.
more than they say. They said it was 1 in 100,000 is what I was told when I got diagnosed, which was a long time ago now. So maybe those numbers have changed.
Yeah.
I mean, I was told that too in the beginning. But, you know, like every day, there's several people just diagnosed.
Yeah.
Sarah, what group are you a part of on Facebook that you keep talking about?
Oh gosh,
a lot of them.
Yeah, I think like 3 of them.
Yeah, I have a bunch
I've seen
too.
2 different ones. One of them's my page, and then there's one other one that I've found that's specifically an essential thrombocythemia page. But yeah, it's
one is just around one. There's one around the world.
Yeah, that one.
Got essential thrombocythemia, and another one is just, I think, thrombocythemia. I'm not really sure.
Okay.
I forget.
Okay.
They just kind of pop up.
I mean,
Yeah, they do. I don't know which one's which, but
I mean, I'm so grateful that, you know, my numbers started going up, and then I went back to the MPN page that I'm a part of, but I rarely go on. And that's when I saw Jessica's story. And again, I can't stress enough, Jessica, it's only been 3 weeks, and the hope that you gave me, I just can't even explain. And then after talking to you, and then at least thank you for bringing me with people that have it, because I do feel alone. And I'm so sorry.
Oh,
really nice.
That's why we're here.
To have other people that know what you're talking about, because, you know, you talk to your friends and they're like, oh, well, you seem, you know, they just don't.
Yeah, they don't get it.
No.
So just thank
No one gets it.
It's not easy.
No one gets it.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not easy. No, it's
I
not.
haven't read or heard about Jessica's story. I'm going to have to find that. I don't know how found this Zoom information?
I think it was from a Facebook post I put on the Essential Thrombocythemia page, because I wanted to let other people join in other than just the people that had reached out to me from the MPN story. So
I'm gonna have to look that up.
yeah, it's the MPN network.
Mm-hmm.
And
wonder
I'm
if
not
I
sure
still
where
have
I'm
it,
at
'cause
on
I
that page,
sent
but they
it.
do have a story about me on there. But if you want to read my story, I actually have a bio on my own website. I'll put it in here. It's just
Yeah.
my name.
Yeah.
Oops. And you know, Inez, I never got to hear what your platelets are at right now. Where are you at?
Now, after the treatment, they are 700. But I stopped when I stopped the last chemio. It was 400 and something. When I stopped I stopped about a month ago, so they are climbing very fast. And that's the dangerous. It's when it's really growing up fast.
Yeah.
It's the dangerous part. I was diagnosed in 2014. I was living in Lisbon at that time. Now I'm in the Algarve, in Tavira, because I changed my life. I came here because it's for me stress. It's very difficult, and in Lisbon I really had a lot of stress. A lot. I'm a clinic psychologist. And at that time, I had companies too, in Lisbon, Brazil, and Angola. So it was really stressful. Then they diagnosed because I remember I was almost at the time at the hospital with pain in the head, a lot of pain. And I was really tired. So at that time it was 1.2 million, and they start treatment. I stopped treatment because in 2016 I was pregnant for the first time. And it was fantastic because without treatments all the levels were okay. I was without symptoms. I was big, but I was without symptoms. When I stopped breastfeeding, it all increased a lot. The platelets were 800 and a lot. And I had to start treatment, but in the Algarve, the hematologist, it's really bad one. So they have to move all my clinic story to Lisbon, to EPO. And now it's very hard because I had to go 1 time per week or 1 time per month at Lisbon. It's almost 3 hours and a half by car. Going and coming, it's almost 7 hours. With the Lucas, in the car is now 4. So it's really difficult to arrange it because we all stay in the car when I'm in hospital. So it's very, very difficult. Last year I made the bone marrow, and I made another procedure that it's taking liquid that it's around the bone and the brain, because it was awful. Awful.
Oh my God.
Because it was they detect in the brain something in the right side, like they don't know if it's tumor, if it is other things, calcifications or something. So they made that precision to see what it is. It was really hard. Even the bone marrow, it was really hard to make. It was not easy. So I have some heart condition too. I didn't know it, but I have. I don't know in English the real term in English. So I made 3 different kind of treatments. I had really a bad time with all of them. So now they stop again, and I made now another blood test, and now they are around 660.
Okay, that's better.
So yeah, it's 1 month without treatment. So they were in let me see, 400. Yes, they're with treatment 400, and without treatment in 1 month they were 660. So now, and the iron, it's really, really low in the blood. Now I don't know what they are planning to do. So
okay.
I don't know.
Have you
I try to hit mushroom that is shiitake.
Yeah, shiitake.
Shiitake, yeah, they're really good for platelets, but well, turmeric too, I use a lot, even in soup. I put with black pepper too, to activate more. Well, I try to, I have some, I have a very, I think, good eating mode. I don't like to, so I don't know, but it's, now I'm not good. I'm feeling really pain. And as I told you, I cannot brush my teeth. It's really, really hard. All my face, it's a nightmare. Even to smile, I'm in pain, just for you to know. So it's really hard. Yeah.
Have you heard about the connection between estrogen and platelet production?
No.
I had found a study about it and I brought it to my hematologist and she said, oh yeah, we've known about this. This is why you can't take an estrogen rich birth control pill. And I've been having hormonal issues, you know, with these hormonal migraines. And so they had put me on a birth control pill that was just progesterone, but it made me spotting all month.
I don't take it.
So I don't. Yeah. So I stopped taking it, but I am noticing that my headaches are worse and my platelet counts are sometimes worse when I am close to my period.
Yes.
Versus when I'm not. And the hematologist acted like, oh yeah, we've known about that for a long time, you know, that your estrogen plays a role in platelet production. When you have a lot of estrogen, you're producing more platelets. And I'm thinking with you, because you're saying when you were pregnant and nursing, you were fine. Or at least you weren't fine, but you were better, right, than you are now. And so I think that might have something to do with what's going on with you. It may very well be something hormonal related to how your platelets are.
Probably,
You know, my brother has a pituitary adenoma, which is a tumor on the pituitary gland. And they said that it is genetic and it's possible that I could have it too. So they sent me for an MRI and they said there was no sign for me. But considering I was having all this hormonal issues on top of, you know, the ET, they wanted to rule it out. So, you know, that might be what they're talking about with your situation. I'm not sure. Just a thought. So, boy, I hope they figured this out for you. This is terrible that you are trying all these experimental medications and having such bad effects from it. I really hope that you are able to find some balance.
Yeah, I hope to.
Yeah, Clark, can you say some prayers for her, please, for us? I don't know if he's still on with us, but
yeah, probably not.
He always puts myself and my son in the prayers in the morning that they do at church, and I so appreciate it because I'm not a very religious person, but I do believe in the power of prayer, and I really feel that is what got us through my son's cancer last year, because we had so many people I never even have met that just reached out and were offering prayer and putting him in prayer groups in their churches. And, I just really felt that was something that helped us get through. It gave us some hope. And, I think that, just,
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, there he is. He's back.
Okay,
Yeah.
guys.
Could you please make sure to
let
put
me say a
Inez
prayer.
in your prayers for me. Please include
Yeah.
her.
Yes, Inez. Yes, Father. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, oh God, you're the great physician. Lord, when you were on earth, you healed the multitudes. Everybody that came to you, you miraculously touched. Now you're seated on the right hand of the Father. And Lord, you use us. You use us on earth to touch one another with your love, with your presence, with your peace. And Lord, I pray for everyone that's included in this call right now, that we would sense your presence, your love, and your peace, first of all. And then, Father, we'd be foolish not to ask you and to knock on your door and request, Lord, for your intervention. We think of Inez right now, and everyone that's on this call. We're all dealing with different variables in life right now. Just not ET, but COVID and politics. And there's so many things happening in the world, Lord. It's just imploding. But Father, you told us your kingdom isn't of this world. And so there is hope beyond this world, or there's hope even beyond this life. But right now, Lord, we want to experience, God, joy in our lives. We want to thank you, Lord, for the many blessings that are in our life. Even though we struggle in so many ways, there's so much for us to be positive about and to be thankful for. And Lord, I pray that these meetings can continue. And as Jessica pulls it, different protocols and remedies, things that have worked, things that have been proven by science, PubMed, and some of these other things, Lord. It's just so encouraging. And I'm thankful, Lord, that each of us on this call, we're interested in natural, holistic healing protocols beyond pharmaceutical stuff. There's no guarantee with this pharmaceutical stuff. As a matter of fact, a lot of times it's been detrimental, and it's shortened the lives of people and hasn't lengthened the lives of people. So help us to have some balance in all this, and order, and be willing to be teachable and investigate and prove, and then share the good news, Lord. And Father, the power of prayer, we'd even pray now, Lord, for everyone that's on this call, that they would receive a touch from you, that somehow miraculously they would find that some things begin to change, Lord, just so that we can deal with what it is we're dealing with, Lord. For every day to have hope is the most important thing. And Lord, some are struggling more in this call than others, and our heart goes out to Inez, Lord. I pray that she's received a lot of good info here, that she can do some research. I know Jessica will be there to help her in a deeper way than what many of us can, because she's really done the homework to investigate all this. And we're grateful for her life and her heart and her enthusiasm to encourage us, Lord. She's a bright and shining star in all of our lives. And we need people like this in our lives to encourage us not to be hopeless, but to have hope. And so, Lord, we pray in the days ahead that as we do this again, there'll be evidences of things that we've all tried. And we say, hey, guess what? This worked, or this changed, or these numbers went down because of this, and that. But at the end of the day, Lord, we want to give you thanks for everything that happens, because, Father, you're our creator, and you know what's happening inside our bodies. So I pray again, just blessings upon everyone that's on this call. And we pray all these things in the powerful name of Christ, our Savior. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
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 Amen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Clark. Thank you all so much for coming on to the call today. It's been great, I think, for all of us. And I definitely want to do it again. I think we'll probably plan maybe a week or two from now, we'll do another session. Obviously, we won't all have new blood work by then, but maybe we'll have a chance to sort of do some research and share with each other what we're taking. Please feel free to use the email chain to share your herbal list or whatever items that you've tried that you think are working well for you. Sarah, I know you're not part of that yet because you found me through Facebook. So if you can, I'm going to put my email address in the text box here for you. And if you can just shoot me your email, that will help you get to be part of our little communication chain we've got going on. And it's just my name, Jessica S. Harshbarger @yahoo.com. I also put in the the chat box here, Sarah, there's, if you scroll back, you'll find that MPN research article. Jackie, I'm sorry, was nice enough to share that with everybody, which is the MPN story on me. And then also I put my website information in the chat too. So if you want to check there, I have a resource pages on my website where I list some of the different herbs that I take, and there are links to get through to their websites, like that Receptor Naturals and the Nature Sunshine. I take a lot of their different herbs as well. So there's a link to that site as well. So yeah. And if
Great.
you have any
Thank
other kind of stuff you want to share, different, herbs or whatever you're taking, like I said, feel free to either put it here in the comments, or we'll put it in the email chain so everybody can get a hold of that. So, okay.
Thank you, Jessica.
Thank you, Jessica.
Great
Thank you
meeting
so much.
everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Nice meeting you
Stay
all.
safe,
All right, we'll be
everybody.
in
God
touch.
bless.
Everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Good luck on your trip.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.